Good day, scholars. This is for Lesson 8, User Interface Practice. Our objective is for you to create a user interface for a basketball app in MIT App Inventor. So we're not going to do any programming or anything like that. We're just doing basic design at this point. All right. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to MIT App Inventor. So let me show you this tab here real quick. And I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to type in MIT App Inventor. And I'm just going to click on the first one here. At this point, this is the main page of MIT App Inventor. We're going to click on the orange button in the top left that it says Create Apps. All right, and let me change to this tab real quick so you can see. And it might ask you to log in depending on if you logged in before or not. I'm going to go ahead and choose my school login. You should always log in with your school Google account. It's just a really good practice to get into. And once you get in, you may see this application that we uploaded earlier. You may be just on the main page. If there is a box on this main page, just hit close on it so we can continue on. What we're going to do at this point is, no matter where you're at in MIT App Inventor, we're going to go to Projects and we're going to start a new project. All right, and we're just going to call it Basketball UI, just so I know what it is. I'm going to hit OK. And that will open up a new assignment for you or a new project for you, okay? Yours might look similar to this. It might not, depending on the size. You might have a tablet size. You might have a monitor size. I'm going to stick to phone size for now because this is basically mobile application design we're doing. So from here, we want to make a user interface for a basketball game, okay? Now, you're free to kind of do what you want, what you think is cool, but I'm going to walk you through the basics here. So the first thing we're going to do is on the left side of the screen, you'll see the palette. All right. The palette is where you'll find all of these different components for you to use in your application. So in user interface, we've got buttons, labels, images, spinners, sliders, switches, all that fun stuff. All right. The next one is layout. All of these are components that are used to organize specific things on the screen. So these are for organization, and we will be using these a lot. I'll explain more about these later when we use more of them. We also have media. So this is sound and video sort of components. We have drawing and animation, which is for drawing and animation. Again, the canvas is a huge component we'll use quite a bit. We'll use it today as well. We have stuff for maps. We have sensors that the phone can use. Now, these only work if the device that the app is running on has these sensors. So you need to keep that in mind, but there are a bunch of sensors in here. We got some social stuff that we'll be using this year, storage for information. These are different types of components for storing information. Connectivity, so Bluetooth stuff, web browsing stuff. Lego Mindstorms stuff for controlling Lego Mindstorm specific motors and components, which we might use later this year if we have time. There's some experimental stuff. There's a database in here, and then we have extensions that we're not worried about at the moment. What we're going to start off first with, okay, is we have the viewer here in the middle. This is what the app's going to look like. It's not exactly what the app's going to look like, but it's going to give you an idea of what the app will look like when it's running on a phone. All right. So let's put something into this viewer. First thing I want to put in here is I'm going to go to drawing and animation. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to grab a canvas. I'm going to click and hold and drag it over to the screen here. And you'll see it puts a little box here. First, what I want to do is I want to look at my components box over here. So this in this box is where it's going to show you all of the stuff that you have in your viewer. Okay, these are all the components that your application is using at the moment. So all we have is screen one, right? And in that screen, we have a canvas. What I want to do first is I want to make this canvas fill this screen. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on canvas here. I'm going to go to the properties. And on this properties box is the properties of whatever you have selected over here. So the properties of the canvas are all of this list of stuff here. All right. And all I'm going to do is for the width, I'm going to change it to fill parent. Okay. What that means is for the width of it, you'll see over here on the phone, the width of this canvas is now filling the parent, which is screen one. So if you look at the component screen or the component section here, the canvas is in screen one, which means it makes screen one the parent, right? It's above this component, the canvas component, and it's filling up that screen width-wise. From here, I also want to change the height. I want to make that fill parent as well. So now it's filling up width-wise and height-wise. So x-axis and the y-axis is being filled. So now we have a canvas that fills this entire screen. Let's make this canvas look like a basketball court. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new tab in the top here. Let me change recording. So now you're seeing this tab. I'm going to type in basketball court wood. And I'm going to go to images. And I'm going to find an image that looks like a basketball court. Okay, so any of these would work. I'm just going to pick a regular old wooden one here. I'm going to click on this. Actually, that has some watermarks on it because they don't want you to steal the image. So that has watermarks on it. I don't want to steal that image, really. This one has watermarks as well. This one has watermarks. So a lot of these will have watermarks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm actually going to change usage rights to Creative Commons. That way it'll give me stuff that I can use for free. So I'm going to take this image here. So I'm going to look at this image. I'm going to control click on it or right click on it, and I'm going to save the image. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this image to my downloads. Actually, I'm going to put it in my school folder. And I'm going to just name it wood floor. Your Chromebook stuff will look different. Just name it what you think is appropriate. So now I've downloaded that in the bottom left here. That shouldn't have been a WebP file, by the way. Let me open that image in a new tab. I've got to open a new tab. Let me try saving it now. Right-click, Save Image As. It wants to save as a WebP file. So at this point, you might want to try and take a screenshot. The Chromebooks, I forgot the screenshot thing on the Chromebooks. I'll mention it in class. I'm going to do Windows Shift S for me because I'm on a Windows machine, and I'm just going to screenshot it instead. Sometimes images give you issues like that. And now I've saved it on my own computer, and I'm going to save it to my school folder here. Wood floor. Save. Your process for saving images will look different on your Chromebook. You're going to have to figure that out. I'm going to go back to MIT now. So now I have an image for this canvas. I'm going to select canvas and the components here. I'm going to go to properties. All right, and I'm going to go to background image. I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click upload file. And then I'm going to choose the file from my file management system of what I just downloaded. So I'm going to go to the file that I just downloaded that to. I'm going to find it, which I called woodfloor.png. Yours might be JPEG. And you'll see that it's there. Okay. If you have it down here in the bottom left, you can drag it up. The reason I'm not dragging this one up is because it's not the correct file. So I'm actually going to close that. Once you have it here correctly, just hit OK. It is uploading it now to the App Inventor server, and now the background image is set to woodfloor.png, and now the background looks like a wooden floor. All right, great. Now what I want to do is I need to add a basketball, right? So you could look on the left here of the palette and find a ball. You could just do that, and you could go to the properties of the ball if I have the ball selected here. Properties, and I can change the color of it to orange. I can make the radius of it larger. And it kind of looks like a basketball, but it doesn't look like a basketball. You know what I mean? So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to actually delete this ball. And I'm going to add an image sprite instead. So you're probably like, Mr. Flanagan, it doesn't look like a basketball. We can add an image to this image sprite using the picture, and we can upload a picture of a basketball. So I'm going to go back to my Google image search. I'm back here again, and I'm going to look for a basketball. Okay, and now at this point, I want the background of the basketball to be transparent. And I can do that using the Photoshop or other image sort of programs. But in this case, I'm going to go back to my tools. I'm going to go to color, and I'm going to change it to transparent. That way, these will have backgrounds that are transparent. So I'm going to click on this one and see if this one works for me. See how it has a checkered background here? That means the background is transparent. I'm going to right-click on it or control-click on it, and I'm going to open it in a new tab. So now I have it open here. Now I'm going to right click and save the image as, or control click and save the image as, and make sure it's downloading as a PNG or a JPEG. And I'm gonna call it basketball. And I'm gonna save it to another specific folder. And now it says in the bottom left here, I've downloaded it. Let me go back to MIT App Inventor. And all I've got to do is click on the image sprite, make sure I have that selected. I'm going to go to the properties of this image sprite, and I'm going to upload another picture. So instead of making my image sprite look like the wood floor, like I did with the canvas, I'm going to make this image sprite look like this basketball here. Hit OK. Uploading the basketball. This basketball is huge. Problem, right? All I've got to do is go to the image sprite, properties of the image sprite, and I'm going to change the height and width to, I'm going to do 50 pixels by 50 pixels, just to test and see. So now that image is 50 pixels by 50 pixels, and I don't know where it went. Let me see if I can find it. So to find it, so if you go to the properties of this again, right? I have X, Y, and Z. I'm going to make X 0. I'm going to make Y 0. Now it's on X 0 and Y 0, and I can find it. So there it is. Don't worry about Z for now. We'll talk about what Z is for later. But now I have my basketball. Okay, maybe I want a hoop. Let's grab an image sprite. Let's find a picture for a hoop. So I'm going to go back to Google Image. I'm going to look for a basketball hoop. Okay. Let's see if this one works. Notice I still have transparent on, and I still have Creative Commons license. I'm going to right-click on this one or control-click on your Chromebook. I'm going to open that image in a new tab. Here is the image. You know it's transparent because the background's black and the background of the image is black now. So I'm going to right-click on this and save this image as well. And I'm going to call it hoop. Save it to that same folder. Go back to MIT. Now I'm back here. Now I've got image sprite 2. I'm going to make sure I have image sprite 2 selected. Go to the properties of it. Change the picture, upload a new picture. And the picture I'm going to upload is the hoop that I just downloaded. All right, boom. Now I've got a hoop. Maybe that's too big. I can change the height and the width, remember? Let's do 100 pixels by 100 pixels and see what that looks like. That looks pretty good to me. All right, so that is, we got a basketball, we've got a hoop. Right, let's add something else. What I want to add is I want to add a score counter. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a label and I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it below our canvas here. And it says text for label 1. And you'll notice it pushed our canvas up because our canvas is set to height fill parent. So it's filling up as much space as it can, but we put a label down here so it pushes it up a little bit. Maybe I want the score to be in the middle first off. Let's fix that. You'll notice that label 1 here in the components is slightly indented to screen 1. What that means is that label 1 is in screen 1. What that means from that is that I can click on screen 1, I can go to the properties of screen 1, and I can align horizontally where things line up. So I'm going to change align horizontal to center, and everything in screen 1 will align to the middle of the screen. The canvas doesn't apply because I already have the canvas to width fill parent, so it's not like I can move it all. It's filling that space. But the label is not within the canvas. It's only within screen 1, which means I just aligned everything in screen 1, including the label, to be in the middle. So now our label is in the middle. Okay, now I want the label to say score. Again, I have label selected. I'm going to go to properties, and I'm going to look for the text property. And look, it says text for label 1. Right, so right here, I can see the text. I can change this to whatever I want. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to change the score, colon, and I'm going to start it off as 0. Okay, maybe that's really small. Let's make that better looking. I'm going to make that bold. I'm going to make the font size like 30. And there we go, right? And you can even change the text color if you really want to. Maybe I want it to be green. Maybe I want it to be red. Okay, and there we have it, right? We have the very basics of a beginning of a basketball application. So I've got a canvas. Let's go through our components up here. I've got a screen 1, right? So I only have one screen that I'm working with, so that keeps it simple. Within screen 1, I have 2 things. I have canvas 1 and label 1, all right? Canvas 1 is where the user is going to play the game and shoot the basketball. The label 1 is where the score is going to show up. Within Canvas 1, and you'll notice that these are indented from Canvas 1, so we know they are inside Canvas 1. I have two image sprites. I have image sprite 1, which is the basketball, and I have image sprite 2, which is my my net, my hoop, okay? And all I've done was add images to these. I haven't changed anything else. I changed the height and the width of a few of these, right, to make them larger or smaller, depending on what I needed. The last thing I would do for this, so let's say I was ready to code this. The last thing I would do is I would label at least these image sprites, because in the programming, you'll just see image sprite 1 and 2. You won't see a basketball or a basketball hoop. So what I'm going to do is image sprite 2 is my basketball hoop. So I'm going to select image sprite 2 and I'm going to rename that to hoop sprite. So I know it's the hoop and I know it's a sprite. Okay. And all a sprite is it's basically an image that you can put in the canvas and you can interact with it. Same thing with this one. This is my basketball. I'm going to rename. I'm going to call it ball sprite. That way in the programming, when we do the programming, I know exactly which one is which. I don't have to label the label because I only have one label, but I can if I want, right? So maybe I can label this score label. All right, the canvas could be the court canvas. Notice I'm naming at the end of it what that component is. This will all make it a lot more easier when I go to the blocks and I have to code for it, okay? So if you've been following along, that's great. If not, that's fine as well. You can rewatch this if you need to, but what you're doing is you are creating a user interface for a basketball game. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but I do want it to look kind of like a basketball game, all right? Once you're finished with this, I want you to go to the assignment section, and there should be a video there that will show you how to take a screenshot and how to turn it in.